Alrighty, guys, welcome back. We are watching Nisemonogatari episode 7, finale of Karen B. Last time we had a good conversation with Senju. We gotta find Karen, and it is time to defeat the ultimate evil. The ultimate evil, Kaiki. And we gotta stop Karen, too. We gotta stop Karen from defeating Kaiki so we can defeat Kaiki, of course. Anyway, let's just get started. We are watching Karen B Part 7. Line up your own copy with this if you want to, and we are starting in 3, 2, 1. Oh, we found her. Kiss freak. It doesn't seem like she's really at 100% still. He did only get half of the poison, right? She can't help it. She has to. That's okay, sure. Oh no. He doesn't want to fight you. Okay. They brought that up before, and I think it was even in the first episode how Aragi stopped fighting with his sisters so much because he's, a vampire now. And he's worried he'll, kill them. Although, I don't know, Karen's a black belt in karate at 15. Or 14? How old is she again? I don't remember. 15 or 14? I think 15, yeah. So, I don't know. She might beat him up still. I guess that's kind of been the theme of all of the fights Aragi has been in. He just gets beaten up. I don't know. I guess Kiss Shot was kind of throwing, so like that, She was still just kind of beating him up, though. And same with Kanbaru. Just kind of beat him up. So, I don't know. I guess we'll see. Hmm. I'm sad we didn't get that Senju opening again. I wanted to see it again. I mean, it's Karen's arc, so I guess she deserves an opening. Man, I have some unrelated stuff I gotta remember to talk about in the discussion. I mean, kind of unrelated. It's related to the show, just stuff about some things about Aragi's mindset I gotta remember to bring up. I gotta read that. I forgot to read the last one, I just realized. Mm-hmm. Perfect. That's just what Aragi wants. Okay. Okay, I hope it's not that bad. Oh, okay. Never mind. We're good. I don't say that. Oh god. We're just going into it. Oh wow, okay. What is happening? Oh, okay. Oh, alright, okay. Yeah, makes sense. Oh god. Just tried to kill him, literally. Yeah. I wonder why. I wonder why. Wow, okay. Oh, okay. Alright. Great. We're doing this. Cool. What Sure. If you say so. Oh my god. This is man. This is some good I don't know. That was good. Can really feel the violence. You should help out, Shinobu. Come on. I mean, except not really. We don't really just want to like kill Karen. So yeah. Okay. I okay. Fantastic. Thanks. Awesome. Great. Fantastic. Man, this is the best fight so far. And yeah, this is way better than anything in Bake or Kizu. Not a chance. I wonder how this will be resolved. Neither of them are just gonna give up, right? Jesus Christ. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, like, okay, we're good. She could have like snapped his neck there. Oh, okay, yeah, awesome. Are we gonna have to like pay the bill for this for the massive destruction? I don't know. I hope not. Well, you weren't beating him, so. Hmm. Oh my god. Okay. This is literally what I was gonna want to talk about. There's something very much related to this. Hmm. Hmm. It's not about physical strength. Okay. Yeah, literally. Man, it's very interesting that Aragi's saying this to Karen. Hmm. Ooh. Oh man. What a thing for him to say. Oh, man. What a thing to say. Hmm. Hmm. Oh god, I want to read that again. I'm gonna have to read this whole conversation again. What is wrong with it? Tell me, Aragi. Tell me what's wrong with it, please. I. Uh huh. Hmm. Huh. I'm sure you do. Hmm. I thank you for clarifying that. Man, that is some man. I'm gonna have to read that whole scene again. That was very interesting coming from Aragi. I no chance of me reading that in time. Um, God, I can't decide what to think about that conversation. That's very interesting. Mm-hmm. Coffee. I suppose. Oof. I don't know about that. Yeah. Okay. Yes, that is true. Sure. Probably. Yeah. Just normal. Hmm. Level of enlightenment. Oh, okay. Cool. Awesome. All right. Wow. Okay. Instant hypnosis. Okay. Cool. Wow. It's all right. Man, this was easy. Wow. Okay. Huh. Man, that was wow. Well done. That was really easy. Uh-huh. Well, come on. He said it. Surely. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, thanks. Thanks, man. Uh-huh. Hmm. Mm-hmm. True. I suppose. Mm-hmm. Ooh, man. To help her, he would have to hurt others. Hmm. Mm-hmm. I can see, yeah. It's like he's a force of nature, you know? Yeah, he's the evil guy, so. Oh, yeah, because of course. Okay, we'll talk about it. I'm just thinking so much right now. Mm-hmm. Hmm. What was that reflected in her eye? Mm-hmm. Not, maybe not the evil mastermind that we've been thinking. I don't know. fake. I guess. I get what he means, yeah. He certainly thinks. Oh, absolutely. He loves to. Oh, yes, he does think that for sure. Wow. Hmm. I mean, he obviously does, right? He just said his shadow and all that stuff. I suppose. Okay. Does interesting. Hmm. Oh. Uh-huh. We sure have, yeah. Okay. But hmm. Does it have to be real though? I guess that's the point, right? I mm-hmm. What? We're no monsters. Man, that is okay. Interesting. He is a fake. And the Wreath Firebee is a fake, but it's real, you know? Hope he doesn't tell anyone how he did it. Yeah, no kidding. Mm-hmm. He's the fire. Come on. I guess. I don't know. Rubidium. Sure. Hmm. Man, very interesting. It's like, oh God. Oh, okay. That's sure. Oh yeah. Uh-huh. Oh. Mm. Talking about herself too, right? Mm. And he's the evil, yeah. Ooh, yeah. Hmm. Don't say that. Yeah. The crab. Hmm. Man. Sorry, I feel like I haven't said anything, but I'm so locked in. Like, I just. Man, he loves money. He sure loves money. Huh? Okay. Why? Huh. It's weird that he knows that. I mean, like, it's so hard to understand his intentions. He. I. But he didn't forget, clearly. Uh-huh. I believe that. Man, I. He is completely against the idea of objectivity. In fact, you were in love with me. Okay. Wasn't she like a middle schooler? What are we talking about? No value in overcoming it or catching up to it. Dude, Jesus Christ. I'm gonna have to rewatch. What a character. I don't say it like that. Come on. Hmm. Yeah. Hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Makes sense. Mm-hmm. Would have fallen in love with them too. Yeah. Aragi's not special, right? But he is special now because he is the one who did it. you know. Yeah, that's the part that matters. I'm sure he would. Not the way you think it means, though. I yeah, I think you're going home with her, but I don't know. Hmm. Yeah. Man. Okay. yeah, you gotta come on. She did a good job. oh. Oh. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. Very nice though. okay. What is going on? Out for more justice. There's a new target, I'm sure. Hmm. True. Mm-hmm. Interesting. Ooh, man, this is man, that was a really good episode. One of the most like I don't even know what words to use for it. Like thematically dense episodes. Maybe the most thematically dense episode of the entire show so far. I mean, that was really the entire episode was just two conversations with I think very deep meanings to them. I don't know. I'm gonna have to just rewatch like the entire thing and just really try and hone in on my thoughts here. That was something else. What's up, Kaiki? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What's Deshu mean though? Uh-huh. They sure do. Yeah, I guess back in when was this? 2010 or something? Uh-huh. 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 Well, it's a piece of junk now, unfortunately. Skihi Phoenix Part 1. Been learning lots of lessons. That kind of makes him dramatic, doesn't it? Anyway, we will talk about it in the discussion. All right, let's talk about the episode. It's gonna be rough. I'm not gonna lie. This is quite the episode. Just okay. Let's just get into it. So he finds Karen. Thank God, Shinobu was clutch here, and we have this fight. Which I don't know. I mean, I don't know if there's really much to say. Just it's very good. I really like the fight. It's yeah, I think it's like the best animated fight that we've seen. Kizu was cool. A lot of the fights were very interesting. This one, I don't know. There's just something special about this one. It seems, I don't know. It's really good. It has some very good. What do you even call it? It's not impact frames, but it's like the opposite of an impact frame. It's just when you can see Karen winding up, about to like smash Aragi's head in. I don't know. There's some good moments like that that really just you feel the extreme violence. Let me find the exact moment because it's really good. Um, right here. Yeah, when she's about to stomp on his head. It's actually just like you see her foot wind up for so long, and it's just oh man, it's great. It's great. Of course, it's completely physically impossible, and this is insane. But it's really cool. I really like it. And I'm no comment on this whole Shinobu situation. I don't know. I don't know about any of that. We got to get into the good stuff here. And by the good stuff, I mean me rambling about Araragi for probably an hour. This is really going to be rough. So, the thing, I said this during the opening about something I wanted to talk about Araragi. It's about his sense of justice and, the whole, um, you guys are right, but you aren't strong thing. The idea that you have to be strong, it's not just being right, you have to be strong as well. Um, Karen's saying this too, the good guy always wins. It's just, so, what I was thinking about, ignoring this scene for now, because I'll just set this up, is like, so, Araragi has this very strong sense of justice, and this very strong sense of right and wrong, right? That he has to that he has to his actions need to be right in his mind. He thinks there's this universal idea of what's right and what's wrong, and he has to live up to it. So in my mind, what I was trying to figure out is like that sense of right and wrong that he has, is it outcome based or is it like principle based? And I know that, like, your mind might immediately jump to one of those and be like, okay, that it's, it's obviously this one. But I just hear me out for a second, because I think this is very important. So, like, what I mean by that first is outcome based, as in, if an action that you do has a good outcome for whatever it is that you're measuring the outcome for yourself or for other people, or, whatever your first axiom is of, what you define as a good outcome. If your action has that, does that make the action correct, or does it make it right in Aragi's mind? Or principle based, as in, here's the set of things, before you know what the outcome of an action will be, does Aragi already have in his mind knowing if that action would be right or wrong? Like, I'm trying to think of an example. Like, well, I guess just in Aragi's life, here, that'll make it much easier. That'll make it much more thematic if I just use examples from Aragi, So for Aragi, for example, Kiss Shot at the end of Kizu. That's a very good one. I think that's a really good one, In Aragi's mind, is him not killing Kiss Shot, him deciding, okay, I'm not going to save Kiss Shot, I'm not going to help her, I'm not going to kill her like she wants me to. In his mind, is that the right thing to do because killing people is wrong and he shouldn't do that, and it's just he can't bring himself to kill another person, especially someone who cares about him, right? And then no matter what the outcome is, like, for example, in Bake, when Shinobu appears to be a worthless husk that can't do anything, again, obviously she was, pretending / kind of just moping in general, trying to convince him to kill her, If the outcome of that action is, okay, Shinobu is now a worthless husk who can't do anything, and obviously she's miserable, was that action still right in Aragi's mind, Like, let's say, that's kind of a heavy one, but just an easier one might be, here, I've tried recording this twice. I'm gonna record this again because I keep stumbling over my words, and I really just I gotta make sure you guys understand what I'm saying here. So, an obvious example of the type of thing I'm talking about is, like, if you punch someone in the face, and because you punch them in the face, they go to the doctor, and I don't know, the doctor finds out they have brain cancer. So, they get their brain cancer treated, their tumor was at a point where if it had gone too much longer, it would have been inoperable and they would have died, right? So let's say because you punched them in the face, they didn't die from brain cancer. That's the type of, like, outcome-based thing, as in, like, that action must have been good because it had a good outcome, right? That's obviously, like, ridiculous, right? Like, people don't really think like that, because I think most people know that, as a rule, you shouldn't go around punching random people in the face, even if it has a good outcome, Like, in that case, you could say there was a good outcome to it, because that person would have died from brain cancer if you hadn't punched them in the face and they went to a doctor because of that, right? So how I'm trying to relate this to Araragi is his sense of right and wrong. If it's outcome-based, and if he thinks, okay, I want to do the right thing, as in, what has the correct outcome always. What I want to do is, whatever he's weighing his idea of what a good outcome is, which doesn't specifically have to be a good outcome for him, but maybe a good outcome for people he cares about, for anything, I mean, even just some esoteric sense of, like, whatever he thinks is a good outcome in general. I mean, it could really be anything, but, like, so if it's outcome-based, then, for example, his suicidality in Kizu, and the fact that he was so depressed, and so, his life was awful, right, in Kizu. That is where his bizarre sense of morality, in a way, in terms of, like, relationships with other people and that type of thing, that's where it led him to. So in his mind, if his sense of right and wrong is outcome-based, would it mean in his mind, okay, since I'm so depressed and suicidal, it must mean I haven't been living up to my sense of right and wrong properly. Because if I was, the outcome would be good. And because he's depressed and suicidal, that's obviously a bad outcome, right? His life is miserable and terrible. So would he be blaming himself? And I guess partially that might be a cause of the suicidality in a way. Blaming himself and his own actions, thinking, okay, I must be wrong, and the actions I'm taking are wrong because they would have a good outcome if they weren't wrong, right? And that's kind of like what Karen is saying here, is the good guy always wins. The good guy is always whatever the outcome of an action is that decides if it was good or not. You know, like, yeah, the good guy always wins. That is where that kind of thinking leads you. You know, if you punch someone in the face and they end up getting cured of brain cancer and not dying because of that, that means that must have been a good action, right? Which is kind of ridiculous, right? If we're looking at it the other way, of it being a principle-based system of what is right and what is wrong for Araragi, then you can imagine it the other way of his suicidality and depression in Kizu, and it's not like he's really been cured of it at this point, you know, I mean, but his suicidality and depression in Kizu, could he rationalize that in his mind as, okay, I'm suicidal and depressed, but I've been living up to my principles of what is right and wrong in terms of not forming relationships with other people. You know, that's kind of the obvious one. And this is just the outcome of that. And because it's not an outcome-based assessment of what is right and wrong, you know, the depression and the suicidality is just a result of him doing what he thinks is right and wrong, you know, and the outcome has no bearing on whether or not he's living up to it, you know. Which, if we're thinking about that in terms of his whole thing about you have to be strong, you don't have to just be right. Yet again, I mean, there really are two ways you can think of it, you know, is like the kind of strength he's talking about. Is it the kind of strength as in you have to be strong enough to always win, so that way whatever you're doing succeeds and has a good outcome, you know? Because it's like, let's say you aren't strong, let's say Araragi wasn't strong enough to go fight Kiss Shot at the end of Kizu, right? Hanakawa had failed to convince him that he should go fight her, all of this, you know? Because he's not strong enough to do that, he's not strong enough to achieve what is right in that case, which was stopping Kiss Shot from going around and killing people, a bunch of people would have died. There would have been a bad outcome of that, obviously, you know? I mean, because Kiss Shot would still exist, she would still be out killing people, you know? And if he's weighing that as a bad outcome, then in that case, because he wasn't strong enough to stop her and do what was right, there was a bad outcome as a result of that. The other way you can look at it is, you have to be strong because doing what's right, doing what's always right, is hard, right? And in that case, it applies really well to his general depression and suicidality in Kizu, because in that case, he had to be very strong to continue doing what he thought was right because of the negative outcomes it was having on him, right? Or even a negative outcome it could have on anyone, right? If it's principle-based and he has things in his mind that, okay, this is what I have to do for it to be right, whether it has a good outcome or not, then it makes sense why you would think, okay, you have to be strong to live up to those principles, because even if there's a good outcome waiting for you, if you don't live up to the principle, in that case, you're still doing what's wrong, you know? You can't rely fully on, you know, just doing what you think makes you happy or what you think is a good outcome, because it goes against the principles of what is right and what is wrong, right? Like, for example, Araragi's newfound happiness, as Haji Kuji put it in the first episode. All of these relationships he's formed with other people now, that's making him so happy, and his life is obviously so much better now than it was during Kizu when he had no friends and he was miserable and suicidal. You can view it in two ways, because, like, he could view it as, okay, right now I'm failing to be strong, I'm not living up to my principles of what is right and what's wrong. You know, it might be having a good outcome on him, but he could still be going against what the principles of what he thinks is right and what he thinks is wrong, you know? And then the other way you can just view it is, because this is having a good outcome on him, his relationships with other people, then that must mean it's the right thing to do. I mean, I guess I just don't know. I guess I just don't know which way to view it as through Araragi's mind. Okay, but taking all that into account now, if we're thinking about this scene and things that have happened since Kizu, so I am going more towards the idea that Araragi's the way he views what is right and wrong is more principle based in terms of, you know, something we've kind of been brought up at the beginning of Nisei, and was also kind of a theme before in, like, Moira's Nail, but the idea that he feels out of place, especially now, that he is literally a vampire and a monster now, right? Which in my mind is still a representation of how he thinks the way he is now is like, he's a monster. He thinks he's not human anymore. He thinks he is no longer, because he has formed relationships with other people and going against going against the principles of what he thinks is right and wrong. He's now a vampire and a monster who doesn't fit in and all of this, right? And alongside that, because in this conversation, Karen is the one who is clearly arguing for the outcome-based side of, what is right and wrong. And he's on the other side of it, right? Like, what he says, oh god, here, okay. What he says is, it's as far as justice as you can get, right? It's not outcome-based, it's principle-based. That's, in my mind, that's what he's saying here, is, he says, physical strength doesn't mean anything. Oh, come on, where's the line? Where is it? Get me to it already. Right here. Okay, yeah. Physical strength doesn't mean anything. It's about mental strength. It's about, you have to have the conviction, as he specifically puts it, the conviction that you find within yourself to do what is right, no matter what, It's not about whether or not you win. Whether or not you win, or whether or not there was a good outcome in that case, isn't the defining factor of what is right and what is wrong. It's your conviction and you just doing what you think is right, So, I guess, maybe I didn't need to go in that whole long spiel before, but it was just something I wanted to talk about before we even saw this episode. I was going to talk about it in this discussion anyway. But I think it's just, in my mind, what this confirms to me is, he's not seeking a reason from another person. He has these principles of what is right and what is wrong, and no matter what the outcome is, it's just he has to live up to those principles, which, again, it makes me think even more so that his whole thing about forming relationships with other people, I just don't believe for a second that he is somehow cured of that now. Because he's like saying that right here, right now, that it doesn't matter how happy he is now with his relationships with other people. It doesn't matter. Honestly, if we extrapolate it out to the potential problems he has with his relationships with just about every other character in the show, it's almost like it doesn't matter how his relationship with anyone develops, Like, if this is his mindset about right and wrong, that no one else can change your conviction and that you just have to know what's right in your heart, pretty much, how is he ever going to overcome all of these terrible thoughts that he has about everything? Like his initial thoughts about Sindra that, like, she only wants to date him because of what he did for her, even though he doesn't even think he did anything for her. But all of that kind of thing. And, like, with Shinobu, obviously there's a ton of weight around Shinobu. How is he even going to properly reconcile with her if this is his mindset about things? That, he can't let his opinion be swayed by the impact of other people in his life, It's just, it's crazy, As crazy as an outcome-based justice system. I'm not justice system in terms of, like, the criminal justice system. Like, morality, I guess you could call it, As crazy as outcome-based morality would be, Araragi taking this principle-based morality that this far is just as insane. It really is, Like, yeah, I don't know. It's just crazy. It just makes me think even more so that his no matter how happy he has seemed so far throughout Nisemonogatari, and how much better his life is, and even despite the things he said to Skihi, was that 2 episodes ago? I think 2 episodes ago, about how he thinks he's changed his mind about the, forming relationships with other people. I don't think he has. I think it through this conversation, it's clear that it goes so deep and that it's so strong within him that there is no way. I don't know. I don't know how he is ever going to fix this, It is, man, rough, He says, they aren't justice. You aren't allies of justice, because it's like, someone's actions and what they do are never justice. It's like there's this ephemeral sense of justice that just exists. And yeah, it's just principle based. There are these principles of what is right and wrong that Araragi has to live up to and has to do. And that's it. You know, that's just what it is in his mind. Um, you know, obviously, to talk about Karen for a second as well, because I mean, Karen's a participant in this conversation. Like, if Karen is so much like Araragi and is so much, you know, she has this very similar sense of justice. And his argument with her, the fact that she's younger than him, and the fact that it's like in his mind, it's like he's teaching her this lesson about justice. You know, he's taken the big brother role to teach her this lesson. Even though, I mean, I think you know, there's this really nice music playing during this that's so, you know, emotional and stuff. I still think the message behind what he's saying really is kind of insane to me. Obviously, there's some level of principle. I guess it's just going all the way on either end is insane to me. Being like Karen and viewing the outcome is the only thing that matters. The good guy always wins, you know, in terms of whoever wins has to be the good guy because the good guy always wins. That's ridiculous. And Aragi's mindset that, you know, you just have to have a conviction of what is right, and that's all that matters. You can't let anything else sway that. That's also just ridiculous, you know? But I was trying to say, Karen is younger than him and is his little sister, and she is... It's almost like he's... I don't know, I was going to say it's almost like he's talking to himself in a way, but they really are taking... They are taking different sides on this, you know? Like, Karen has been a representation... of his own feelings about justice a lot. But in this conversation specifically, I don't really think it's like he's talking to himself. Unless there's something I'm missing. I guess it's possible that throughout Kizu and Bake, his view on this has changed, and that perhaps it was more outcome-based before, and now it's more principle-based. But I don't think so. In my mind, the, like, I guess, emotional evidence fits more with it being principle based, you know. That's why at the end of Kizu he didn't kill Kiss Shot, because even if she wants to die so badly, in his mind, the principle is he can't kill other people, especially someone who is clearly so human to him, right? The emotions and the everything that Kiss Shot showed him before asking him to kill her, it's just in his mind, on principle, he can't kill her, right? No argument she could make about how much she wants to die, how long she's lived, all of this, you know, is ever going to reach him, no matter what, because on principle, he can't kill her, you know? So in my mind, there's no way it's ever been outcome-based, right? So I don't think in this conversation, Karen is, like, taking up a representation of himself talking to, like, his younger self or something like that. That's just an easy way I feel like you could view this, but I guess I just don't think that's what it is. So, I guess, why even bring it up? I don't know. That's just what I'm saying. Yeah, and, I mean, if we're really gonna go even further, it's like, him affirming that Hanakawa doesn't know everything, when Hanakawa is this representation of what started to break Araragi out of this idea of never being able to form relationships with other people and, you know, blah, 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 blah. Him saying, you know, him affirming that she doesn't know everything. Obviously, it's her catchphrase, right? But at the same time, in this moment, I just think it's meaningful how, like, man, I guess now I have to think about, from Combrew's point of view, with if you're viewing it with an outcome-based morality system, would you think Hanakawa knows everything? I don't know. You know what? We are going so far down the rabbit hole at this point. I don't know. But at the same time, I'm wondering if him saying this, him recognizing that Hanakawa doesn't know everything, if that could be representative of some way of a change that happened within him, in terms of his outcome, in terms of his morality system changing from outcome-based to principle-based. But I'm not really thinking of anything, so this is just so far down the rabbit hole, and we are so far gone from anything even remotely narrative based, or I mean, it's so ridiculous that I just don't even. It's not ridiculous in terms of that I think anything I've said is wrong, because I think I'm absolutely on the right track here. It's just we are reaching levels of crazy, like, uh not symbolism, but like just I guess it kind of is symbolic in terms of this conversation, whatever you want to say Hanakawa represents in terms of her ideas versus Araragi and Karen's moral system about justice. I literally, who knows? This is something that I can't hash out on the spot. I'm sorry. I don't know. It's we have gone too deep. And like him saying this, you can't be content with self-satisfaction, because in his mind right now, he could be saying, okay, I'm satisfied with my life, and he's happy because he has formed relationships with people around him. But he can't just be content with that. He can still know that what he's doing goes against his principles of morality, right? Yeah. Okay. I Jesus. Okay. And I guess it's just him, I guess it is interesting in a way. Because I said this during the episode when Karen said, "What's wrong with self-sacrifice?" And it is very interesting to hear Araragi, or to think what Araragi would think about it, because frankly, he doesn't really give her a clear answer. But I guess it makes it clear in my mind that Araragi's sense of right and wrong, it isn't based on self-sacrifice at all. It has nothing to do with the fact that he should always self-sacrifice, the fact that he should always, take harm on himself and always do, that isn't a factor, like, axiomatically of where he gets his sense of right and wrong from. That is just the fact that he's always in this position of self-sacrifice all the time is just it's just like an emergent property of what his principles of right and wrong are. It's not like self-sacrifice is always good, is what I'm trying to say in his mind. Like, and maybe that's obvious, right? I just think it is interesting that I think Araragi himself is aware enough to know that, that even though the self-sacrifice and all of that, I guess you can view it, I've had the tendency to view it as almost an extension of his suicidality at times. But I guess it's really, maybe I've been a little bit too quick to pull that trigger and say that it's related to that. Because it's not really like, his tendency of self-sacrifice is specifically like, okay, since I am worth so much less than other people, I just need to, I have to be the one to take all the harm on myself and, throw myself away for the sake of others. And as I'm saying this, I guess I'm just realizing now that, like, no, I think for Araragi, being self-sacrificial is kind of one of his principles, because he has unfair standards. He has an unfair standard for himself personally, because of the low opinion he has of himself. So, like, we have to view Karen as a different person, obviously, despite how the same she is as Araragi. So, him having a different standard for her versus himself in terms of being self-sacrificial, I guess that makes sense, right? It's just very, I think we really got to stop this now, this conversation, because this has really been ridiculous. This is really something I can't hash out in a discussion like this. It has really just been ridiculous. Someone would have to make like a video essay about this. I don't know, not me. It would be way too much. I think it is very interesting, though, I guess, just trying to really understand the dynamics of Araragi's morality. Or, I don't even want to call it morality. I just feel like it really is just right and wrong. Even though you could say those are synonyms, I feel like there's a difference. Alright, and last but not least, if we want to apply this to the idea of being a fake versus being real, I literally think, again, there are actually so many meanings you could take from this statement, and like what it means to Araragi. I don't know. It's possible that I'm an idiot, and there is something obvious I'm just not getting here. But in my mind, there really are so many different ways you could take it. So, I don't even know what the intended like understanding of it should be. Like, I actually just don't even know, because to me, there's so many different ways you could take it. To me, the most obvious one I guess, is like the idea that Aragi recognizes that both he himself and Karen aren't real in terms of like living up to the idea of justice. That's kind of what they're both all about. Both of them might be fakes, but as he says at the very end, that means they're close to being real. Which I guess is that progress for Aragi? If through this discussion with Karen and through everything that's happened, if he now thinks, okay, I'm a fake, but I'm closer than anything to the real thing, because I guess I'm applying that to him too because of him seeing that in Karen. And the way that he has a tendency of thinking of himself as a fake already with the whole vampire thing, not fitting in at home, all of that. Would I even call that progress if it's just affirmed his idea that he's a fake? I don't know. I don't know about that. But you could also view it as like he recognizes that trying your best to live up to justice is better than, it doesn't mean nothing, right? If he's failing to live up perfectly to his idea of justice in every imaginable way, that doesn't mean he has to kill himself, right? I don't know. I literally think both of those, to me, are equally as meaningful, and I can understand both of them. But I don't know. So that's all I'm going to say about the fake and real thing in regards to this whole justice conversation, because Jesus Christ, this is insane. I literally, you guys don't even know how many times I've had to redo this. Okay, all right. Finally, we're done with that. All right, let me read this. I also need to read the beginning thing. I just remembered. Okay, all right, okay. I'm not reading this out loud. All right. Okay, thanks. Thank you. Thanks, Aragi, for that one. Let me read this text at the start real quick before we go to the Kaiki. Shogi. Who's saying this? Kaiki? Shogi is a game of speed at the mastery level. They'll definitely have their clocks alongside the board. Despite such strict rules, the potential for enjoyment exists solely because it's a game whose only limiting factor is time. Such strict rules. Focus is on the amount of time it takes to make a decision. In short, you're only smart if you are fast. Anyone can apply famous strategies if they have the time. The important thing is not wasting any time. And it's not only shogi, your lives are very limited as well, yeah. The focus is on how much time it takes to make a decision. In other words, the important thing is how quickly you can think. As someone who's lived longer than you, let me give you a bit of warning. Don't overthink things. In my experience, people who are absorbed in their thoughts are just as easy to fool as people who don't think at all. Think in moderation, act in moderation. That's the lesson for you here. I think that applies very well to some of the stuff I was just rambling about. Anyway, Senjugahara Kaiki, finally, thank God. Let's get to this, because Jesus Christ. All right. So here's our ultimate evil, who needs to be vanquished. So, like, who do I even talk about first? So Kaiki is a character. Kaiki is quite the character. He mentions a bunch of times, he keeps talking about how Senjugahara, her charm is gone. He keeps saying she's so ordinary now, she's not special anymore, all of this stuff. And if we think about, like, what that means, right? Like, Senjugahara before, when she's being affected by the crab, which I assume that's what he's talking about, right? Obviously. She was unaffected by her emotions, pretty much, right? I mean, yeah, she was unaffected by her emotions in some way, And, I say that, but it's obvious that she was still capable of experiencing negative emotions by the way she wanted to kill people. So, I don't know. But, I think just being unaffected by your emotions, we can almost just view it as, like, being unaffected by the past, right? Because she was being unaffected by the, like, trauma in her life that she didn't want to deal with, I guess that's a much better way of putting it, right? And Kaiki is really, like, putting that on a pedestal in a way. It seems like he was really, yeah, you've shown, like, darkness, whatever that means. Yeah, a level of enlightenment. He really thinks this whole, being unaffected by the past thing is awesome. Especially with what he says at the end about how there's no point in trying to overcome the past. Um, Man, it makes me really think about his behavior and his, uh, I mean, I guess the obvious thing to assume based off this, based off him, thinking so highly of Sindrugahara and her situation when she was unaffected by the past, saying it was a level of enlightenment, him saying that he never wants to overcome the past. Um, I mean, it makes you assume there's obviously some reason why he acts the way he does, right? Um, like Sindrugahara here in a moment says, yeah, first, Kaiki goes on this long rambling thing about how he's going to do everything they want because he's awesome and cool and everything's great and it's all fixed. Cool. Um, but after this, Sindrugahara says, uh, it's the thing about the money. We gotta get the thing about the money. Um, Come on, blah blah blah. Where is it? It's when she says that money would not. Yeah, I won't ask you to return the money. That won't bring my family back. Which, like, and what doesn't he? Yeah, he like laughs at her about it. He like thinks that's like ridiculous, kind of. Um, so like her saying that kind of thing when he cares so much about money, all he cares about is money. He thinks no one should ever overcome the past and that it doesn't matter. You shouldn't let it affect you. Um, I guess it's just obvious to me that in some way something has happened to him that is the explanation for his behavior now. Like, I mean, obviously, right? I mean, that's kind of how people work in general. Um, but I just can't help but think like it has to be something. Uh, maybe that's too far. I was gonna say it has to be something similar to like what's happened to Sindrugahara, but maybe not. Maybe that's a connection that's just Sindrugahara has just Sindrugahara is similar to him, or at least when Sindrugahara was being affected by the crab, her behavior is very similar in a way to the way Kaiki is acting now. Like Kaiki's acting like nothing matters other than money, which I maybe he's convinced himself of that somehow. That's certainly the way he's acting. He kind of laughs at her at the idea that money isn't important here. Um, Man, I don't know. I guess I'm very curious what has happened to him to make him act like this. And I guess that's really all I can say. Um, hmm. He is very yeah, he's a very interesting character. And I don't really know what else more to say than that. He acts so evil, but it's really is like he's putting on an act. Um, but maybe he's not even aware that it's an act and that this is just like Sindrugahara and the way she was acting. This is him. I mean, it's like you know, it's him coping with something that has made him act this way. Anyway, so Kaiki and Araragi talk for a moment about this, which like he says, I hurt your sister. Shouldn't you be more mad at me? Which I just think it's interesting because like she got what was coming to her is what Aragi says. It really is. It's like he views Kaiki as like a force of nature. It's like Kaiki really is a representation of evil and of like I don't know. It's weird. It's kind of weird from Araki in a way. I don't know. Maybe it's not weird. I just think it fits with the way Kaiki has been portrayed and the way Aragi would view him. Um, so I don't mean weird as in like it's not fitting or something. I just mean weird as in I don't know. That's not the way I would be thinking about it, and that isn't the way I'm thinking about it. But and he says Karen was right. She should have come with more people, which I guess kind of contradicts Aragi's idea of like personal conviction. Because Aragi doesn't disagree that Karen was right. He certainly thinks that she should have opposed Kaiki just like he does. But she wasn't strong, I suppose. I guess Kaiki, man, I mean, really, do I want to go down this rabbit hole again? It's almost like Kaiki can just be viewed as just the natural consequences for your actions of trying to do what's right. Um, that like in Aragi's mind, I think that's something that he uses to justify why he's been so miserable and why his life has sucked so much. Hmm. And he says that when he said you have the wrong idea about me, I I guess he kind of touches on the thing, like he touches on the thing that he has been portrayed as this, um, the force of evil. That's, all that stuff I've been saying the whole time about him, right? Um, and he is a fake, just like, I don't know, just like everyone else. He's not pure evil, right? That's what I get from it. I don't think that's exactly what Senjugahara means. Um, but I guess I don't know. That's what makes sense to me. He's okay. I really like this line. Is your life dramatic? um, Tragic, comedic. You know, Araragi absolutely thinks his own life is dramatic, doesn't he? Like, just the fact that all of these arcs and everything have been framed with the context of Araragi as a narrator, like telling it to someone. It's yeah, he totally views his own life as like I don't know, an epic story of some kind, he totally does. Which kind of, man, yeah, it's kind of, I don't know, it's interesting, I suppose. But I guess Kaiki claims he doesn't know anything about the supernatural and he doesn't believe in it. um which, like, God, what does that even mean, man? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that has to fit in with, like, his rejection of everything other than money as well. I guess I just don't really know how. I guess I don't know how to put it into words. I feel like it just makes sense to me, Because, like, it's like rejecting everything that the supernatural, like, represents, Um, hmm. I don't know. It's very difficult to say. We just don't. I just feel like I didn't know enough about Kaiki to really, I want to expand on it more. I feel like I'm not saying much, but I just, I don't know. I guess I just don't know what else, how to take it. I guess. And I guess the Wreath Fireview is fake, but, like, it's not really fake because it was having an effect on Karen, and isn't that kind of what matters? Isn't it like isn't it the effect that it's having on her? Which, dude, I'm gonna lose my mind because I feel like you could connect that back to the outcome-based thing. Um, Whatever. We have to. I gotta know when to stop eventually. Um, he is a fake, just like everyone else, right? Maybe this is part of what helps Araragi realize. You know, I guess if we want to take the line at the end about Araragi thinking that fakes are closer than anything to the real thing, if we want to take that as, like, positively as possible, I guess that's like you could take him realizing that Kaiki is a fake and isn't a representation of pure evil. Um, you can take that as, like, yeah, just like he says here, live his entire life with a sense of inferiority because he's a fake. He isn't a representation of pure evil. Just like Araragi isn't a representation of pure justice and pure goodness, right? He's a fake. He's going to live his life with a sense of inferiority because he's not living up to the principles that he thinks he needs to. But that means he's closer than anything to the real thing. And that still has, like, this effect of, like, idolizing the idea of the real thing that I don't like, that I think is a bad thing to think. Um, but yeah, he's a proud fake. So, hmm. And then there's this conversation with, we go back to Senjugahara and Kaiki. She smashes his cell phone. It's very horrible. um, and, like, man, this Kaiki really is the first person who is a match for Senjugahara, isn't he? I mean, man, he is. Whew. Um, but yeah, she says, it was their fault for being tricked, which, of course, that's kind of what she thinks about herself. It's like it's her coming to terms with her own, herself being tricked and herself, if Kaiki is a representation of everything evil that's ever happened to her, it's just her, if it's her coming to terms with that, and yeah. Because in a way, it's like if you just think, oh, everything bad that happened to me was just me being visited by, terrible evil, and there was nothing I could do about it. That's not really very conducive to, coming to terms with it, right? Hmm. She's boring. Unlucky. I guess I don't know what he means by that. I'm really trying to think what he means by calling her boring. I mean, I guess obviously it's like the way he idolized her so much before when she was unburdened by her past, which I think is like an explanation for his actions as well, or at least, I mean, in a way, it's like if he thinks being unburdened by her past is a good thing, the way he's acting really is kind of the opposite of that, because he might think like having this attitude towards everything. He's so sarcastic and so, having this attitude towards everything, acting like it doesn't matter. He's clearly being affected by his past anyway, whatever it is that makes him act this way, right? If he, through his attempted rejection of the past, his past is changing his behavior more than anything, So, hmm. And I just, her saying that Araragi, because of Araragi, she can, love herself as well, right? Again, it's just something that's so contradictory with everything Araragi just went on that long speech to Karen about of how personal conviction and, um, finding meaning from another person doesn't mean anything, right? Uh, hmm. And God, it's like obviously Kaiki saying this to Senjugahara about the man who tried to rape her is dead. The way he says it, he says in a place that had nothing to do with you, in a way that had nothing to do with you, with no drama. It's like, the way he says it, it almost makes you feel like he's saying it to hurt her, right? Trying to make her think, oh, you'll never, get your revenge that you want, blah 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 blah. But it really, to me, it feels like it belies like a deeper, some kind of sense of care for Senjugahara, doesn't it? I mean, the fact that he even knows this, unless he's just lying about it, but I just don't know why he would lie about it, right? Because I don't think, no matter how, the way he worded it, um, unless it's just speaking more so to the way he would want to deal with this kind of situation, being personally involved in killing someone like that. Outside of just the way he words it initially, like this, and the way you could take that, if anything, it feels like this would give some sort of sense of closure to Senjugahara in some way, right? And in that sense, it feels like it feels like there's some kind of underlying care for Senjugahara that he has. The very fact that he knows this, to me, the fact that he's here, it makes me wonder more. Maybe is Senjugahara the real reason he's here in the first place, right? God, he is so interesting. And like, yeah, and I mean, it really feels like he's talking about himself in the way he looks at the past. Um, yeah, man, it's very good. I need more Kaiki for sure. I really need more Kaiki. And he says there's no such thing as truth in the world, which is again feels to me completely, yeah, it's he is the ultimate evil, and he's saying things that go completely against the idea of ultimate justice that Araki believes in. Yeah, 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 yeah. And I guess that just, yeah, and that's, the idea of truth fits in with the idea of a principle-based morality system. Yeah, okay, yeah, we're good. We got this down. Yeah, I'm with it. We're chilling. I think I'm happy now. Past is merely the past. No value in overcoming or catching up to it. Insane thing to say, especially with his behavior. So, I don't know. And Senjugahara was in love with him, apparently, which makes sense, I guess, right? I wonder if he already acted like this by then. Man. Hmm. And yeah, I mean, her saying all of this stuff, it's like, God, it's even more stuff that just to me fits into the idea of Araragi isn't special, right? He's not special because he saved her, because anyone could have saved her, but because he's the one who did, and through their relationships, that's what makes him special now. And of course, he says this Oshino quote that he somehow, like, I don't know, someone got to sit him down and tell him what's up with that. Um, and yeah, they man, Senjugahara overcomes her past, doesn't she? Which, like, obviously, yeah, it makes it, throwback to Bake episode 12, the stuff she said to him then about, it's very, yeah, it's very nice. I think fits very well with, it fits very well with my, like, interpretation of Araragi in sexual situations throughout Nisei. Because, like, he's literally going to have sex with Shinjogahara, and, like, Shinjogahara is the one who he's actually in a relationship with. So, like, yeah, if we're viewing it in terms of, like, emotional, yeah, I mean, because, like, that's literally, like, what sex is, and, like, that's, yeah. So sure, that's all I'll say about that. I think it fits very well with everything I've been saying about that before. So yeah. And then, yeah, I already talked about his conclusion at the end about being fake versus being real. um I don't know if I'm just dumb, but I literally think this is, like, the hardest episode for me to understand of the entire show. I don't know if I'm just, like, stupid, or if I'm thinking about it too much. I don't know. There's just really a lot happened, that's for sure. That is for sure. I wish this didn't have the credits on it. I would totally use this. It's like the thumbnail. I guess I could. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, I guess that's it. This was a ridiculous discussion. I don't even know. I don't know what to say. I feel like I must have missed some stuff, but we'll see. Yeah, I guess that's it. Leave a comment. Tell me what you think. I think at the end there, I think I'm generally happy with most of what I said here and most of my conclusions about this. A lot of it is really, man, it is rough. It's rough. I don't know. It is hard. But yeah, leave a comment, tell me what you think, and I will see you in the next one.